Welcome back to Next Gen Console Watch, our show following all the news and updates on the Xbox Series X and S and the PlayStation 5. I'm Damon Hatfield, and as always, I'm joined by Ryan McCaffrey, host of IGN's Xbox Podcast Unlocked.
Happy surprise Xbox first-party game release day.
Yeah, we got one of those, and it's available now, moments today. We'll talk about that in just a bit. And Max Scoville, host of IGN's PlayStation Podcast Beyond.
Hey, how's it going?
Great. Let's begin with Xbox this week. Xbox had a developer direct showcase today, and it was a pretty good, entertaining, and concise little show. About 45 minutes long. It showed off 5 games and gave out some release dates. The most notable of which, I think, is the long-awaited release date for Redfall, coming out May 2nd. Redfall it's from Arcane, developers of games such as Dishonored. Announced back at E3 2021, was supposed to be out last summer, but then was delayed alongside Starfield to the first half of 2023. True to their word, May 2nd is when Redfall is finally coming out. Ryan, what do you make of that release date?
I'm happy to hear it. They're also going to just get out ahead of that sort of late May and June gauntlet of all those like 25 plus year franchises getting major new entries. We've talked about it. It's Zelda Tears of the Kingdom in late May, and then June is Diablo 4, Street Fighter 6, and Final Fantasy 16. So not just big games, but big games, big franchises that have been around since we were kids. And so, to have this new IP that doesn't have any of that sort of 2 decades plus worth of brand equity and familiarity built up yet in the form of Redfall, to get it out right at the beginning of the month, it will hopefully get some deserved attention before those other games start dropping.
Yeah, I think early May makes sense to me. The other months are all just too packed already. And Zelda is going to be a huge game, but not, it doesn't mean anything if you only have an Xbox, right? The real competition, I think, that month will be possibly from Suicide Squad, which is coming out in late May. But right. Max, now Xbox has, a big first-party game with a release date in the first half of the year. Do you feel like that's lacking from Sony?
Yeah, I'll say it. I think, Forspoken wasn't quite the banger a lot of people were hoping it was going to be. Final Fantasy 16 is just barely not in the first half of the year. That's on, I think, June 22nd.
Right.
And there's plenty of cross-platform stuff we'll get to mess with, but it'd be nice to have, I don't know, like a nice little surprise launch like Xbox got today.
Yeah. So Ryan, the big question this poses to me is, what does this mean for Starfield's release? Because I don't think Starfield is going to get out the door before Redfall, which leaves very little time for it to actually make it out in the first half of the year, which I think means to me, I wouldn't be surprised if Starfield is their big holiday release this year. What do you think?
I am not ready to go there with you yet, Damon. I see why you're going there, and I totally get your logic on that, but I still feel like I don't think Starfield wasn't in the presentation today because they're not ready to show anything from it. I think it wasn't in the presentation today because they didn't want to overshadow everything else. Redfall, Forza Motorsport, Minecraft Legends, Elder Scrolls Online, and as it turned out, Hi-Fi Rush. Right. This new game from Tango Gameworks that's you can just play right now. It's out. So I think there is a chance that it's still going to hit that first half of the year window whenever that Starfield developer direct comes around. Now, I was hoping they'd tease us with a date for that at the end of this direct to say, hey, tune back, on whatever day for our Starfield focused developer direct. We did not get that at all at this one, but I think it's going to depend largely on exactly when that developer direct is. Because once we have the date for that, then I think it's fair to extrapolate a little bit on the release date from there. Like if this Starfield direct is in February, then sure, we could get Starfield at the end of May or sometime in June. But if that Starfield developer direct doesn't end up being until April or May, then yeah, at that point, you can probably scratch the first half of the year off the list, and it is officially going to move out into the second half. And then at that point, it would just be how far into the second half is it going to go?
Well, it's funny. I just checked, Ryan, and it turns out that June 30th is on a Friday. So I don't, maybe they just barely want to squeeze it in there, put it out on Friday, June 30th. I don't know, Max. What's sort of your feeling about when Xbox might want to release Starfield at this point?
I could see it being a fall thing. You know, they had the old 11/11 release date initially. Bethesda loves that. They love that like November, that pageantry. You know, that thing that everyone gets under their tree, or gets the midnight launch of before Thanksgiving or whatever. I think it'd be a good fit. Like I'm dying to play this game, but again, like as we learned the hard way with Fallout 76, like I'd rather have the game come out overcooked than undercooked.
Yeah, of course. I think we all feel the same way. Ryan, what do you think of the Xbox Developer Direct showcase overall today? Along with the Redfall release date, they showed off Minecraft Legends, showed off Forza Motorsport, although we didn't get a release date for that. And then, of course, you had the aforementioned Hi-Fi Rush surprise release from Tango Gameworks out today.
Yeah, and it's really fun so far. We're recording this right after the Developer Direct, so I've just installed it. I haven't had a chance to play it, but one of our action game gurus at IGN, Mitchell Saltzman, is already posting in our Slack channel that he loves it. So that's cool. I don't know when our review will be up. Hopefully by the time you read this, or if not very soon there, by the time you watch this, I should say. But it sounds like the early impressions are good. But in any case, Damon, I actually really have to give Microsoft credit. That I thought they did a great job. I mean, they set their expectations appropriately ahead of time and said, hey, we're going to have these 4 games. We're not going to have Starfield. And as it turns out, they under-promised and over-delivered by having Hi-Fi Rush be a surprise from Tango. So that was great. And it's not just that Hi-Fi Rush was a surprise, is that it genuinely looks really good. And it's from a developer that has a great track record. So that's excellent. I thought the presentations flowed well. There wasn't filler. There wasn't wasted time. Really, the only thing I can meaningfully, legitimately complain about is seeing Forza Motorsport again, because we have seen it a couple of times before, and still no release date. They didn't even commit to a season. They didn't even say spring 2023 or summer or fall. They just said come in 2023. So that's definitely a letdown. But at least they gave us a game the day of the direct, Hi-Fi Rush, to give us a finally end this first party drought that we've been stuck in for a while. So we've got that, and we've got Minecraft Legends in April. We've got Redfall being really, the big core gamer game for the very beginning of May there. So we finally have those release dates that we've been needing for a while in the Xbox community, and it sets up a nice first half of the year for Microsoft. And again, I'm still optimistic that Starfield could sneak in there, and if it does, then we can say, boy, that they've had a great first half of the year, and then it'll be looking ahead to more of the unknown in the second half. But for now, I think this Developer Direct did a great job. I really have to. I like the format. I'm glad they stole it from Nintendo, as Sony had already done with State of Play. The format just works, and they had a great presentation.
Max, what do you think of the presentation today? And when do you think we might get some kind of State of Play from Sony?
Well, shucks, I think soon would be nice. They've got a new, very expensive piece of hardware coming out in less than a month.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people kind of aren't super sold on PSVR. We did a survey on IGN, and I think like 10% of our audience said they've already pre-ordered one, which is cool. But there were a lot of people who were sort of in the undecided or not interested camp, and I think a little bit of drum bang in there would get some people's attention and show this thing off. But as for the direct, I thought it was really good. To Ryan's point, like under promising and over delivering. I think there's a beautiful happy medium between setting people's expectations at a realistic height, but then also coming in and being like, surprise, here's this. And I've always loved that available now kind of game reveal type of thing, which is fun. Mm-hmm. And also I don't know, it feels super weird to see something from Shinji Mikami's studio that's all bright and colorful, but he worked on Aladdin for the Super Nintendo, so it's kind of going back to the roots. And
it's true.
I'm really happy to see first party studios making these smaller, weirder games. Like this kind of feels like Pentiment in a way, in that it's definitely like this isn't like a big flagship release, but clearly the studios are working on different things, and they have, I'm hoping, a little bit of wiggle room to actually experiment and try new stuff. But to Ryan's point, if not a release date for Starfield, a release date for when we'll hear more about Starfield would be pretty cool. Mm-hmm. But we got a decent amount of warning for this Developer Direct, and it delivered. So good on them.
Well, speaking of Starfield, we have the results of last episode's poll when we asked, what is the single most important thing Xbox needs to do in 2023? And most of the respondents agreed with you, Ryan. They said that Starfield just needs to stick the landing.
Yeah.
Super important for that, right? Any sort of follow-up thoughts on that?
No, it's as true today as it was when we did the poll last week. It's just, to Max's point, bringing up Fallout, and it's got to be polished. It cannot ship in an unfinished. Oh, it's the Bethesda bugs. Like, no, this is the most important Xbox release in a long time. I mean, I know Halo Infinite was an important release, but certainly this is the most important new IP, as I think I said on last week's show, in many, many, many years. So it's got to nail it. It's got to hit the landing, and it just can't be, a wait till there's been a few patches kind of thing. It's got to be a clean, polished game right out of the gate. Whenever it does end up hitting, whether it sneaks into the first half of this year or ends up being somewhere closer to Christmas.
Well, dear viewers, that is something for you to vote on for next week's episode. We want to know, when do you think Starfield will be out? Will it still make it the first half of the year? Will it be out in late summer? Will it be the big holiday release for Xbox this year? Make sure to vote at IGN.com, and we'll share the results with you next episode. And that's going to do it for this edition of Next Gen Console Watch. Thank you to both Ryan and Max. Thank you to Marian, working behind the scenes to make this episode possible. My name is Damon. We'll be back with more PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X news. Same time next week, 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern. We'll see you then.